Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, a very special guest. He is now an Olympic coach for the 2021 U.S. Olympic team headed to Tokyo. He put 4 women on the U.S. Olympic team, and they claim a 5th in Emma Wyant. Today, we are sitting down with UVA head coach Todd DeSorbo.
What's up? I've got to correct you, okay? I didn't put 4 people on the U.S. Olympic team. Those 4 people put me on the U.S. Olympic team. And it takes a village too, you know, our staff, the whole team, but I definitely don't want to be claiming to, be the reason why they're on. They're certainly the reason why I get to go to Tokyo and be with them. And so I've got to be grateful and thankful to those athletes, those girls, because they blow my mind every day.
And that's a great thing to say. It's a great way to start off, because I think that's a good first question. Is you've had a few days to kind of just sit and kind of soak this all in. This trials was a wild experience for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And how have you processed the last week in these last few days, especially knowing that it took this village to get 4 women on the Olympic team from UVA?
Yeah, I'm not really sure I've even processed it yet. I hope they have. I hope they've taken a moment to really let it sink in of what they've been able to accomplish, this whole year. For me, I just coming back and just the dust hasn't settled yet. I had hoped it would, but it's, I guess, just busy, really busy right now, just prepping to leave on Sunday, as well as just trying to get as much work as I can get done, and also spend some time with the family. So I haven't even had a moment. I think the flight to Hawaii to the training camp is probably when I'll probably be able to digest most of it. But our team, just generally speaking, just really, I'm in awe of them all the time, every day. And so, just to kind of continue to do what they do, and be as good as they were at trials is, I know it's not the end, because we have the Olympics now, but it was kind of the end of that chapter, I guess. And it was a fitting end and a perfect end. It really couldn't have gone any better. So, I couldn't be happier for them, for our program, for our coaching staff. And I think, over the course of last week, almost every final session, our coaching staff would leave and just like giggle walking out of the building, just giggle like, holy cow, I can't believe that just happened. Did that really just happen? And just like giddy with excitement and, excitement and pride for those, individuals that were doing what they were doing. And it wasn't just the 4 who, made the Olympic team. It was, all 15 of the athletes we had there were just doing some great things. So it was a lot of fun. It was really stressful. It was stressful for me. I can't imagine what it was like for the athletes.
So I do want to go back to the meet and relive some of these stressful moments, not to put you in that situation again. But the first UVA athlete that made it was, I guess it was Emma Wyant, but did you feel the same about her as you did for the rest of those athletes, seeing her on night 1? Obviously she's coming to UVA. As you said, she was there for like 10 days or something, but she's been training in Sarasota for the most part. Obviously you guys are cheering for her, but was that the same sort of feel as the athletes you've been training?
I think similar, but maybe not exactly, just because, we weren't, directly overseeing her for the entire year leading into this. She elected to stay back with Brent and at Sarasota, and obviously that was a great choice. but yeah, I was certainly nervous for her, maybe more so for Brent, just being around him and watching him, because I know he was super nervous about it as well. So, more excited, probably than anything for her, just because, I guess it's a little less pressure on us, our coaching staff and our team, from that perspective, just because she had been down there all year. But nonetheless, definitely, a little bit stressed and a little bit nervous and anxious for her, and she just went out and lit it up right away. So it was fun. And that race was a wild race. And it was I guess that was the first event where we had Olympic qualifiers, that first night. Not we, but just the US. So it was the first opportunity for anybody to qualify, and it was a crazy race the way it came down to the finish. And I guess that was a foreshadowing of how the rest of the meet was going to go, because it seemed like it was like that every day.
Dude, no kidding. there was some barn burners in there for sure.
Yeah.
And so then the next night, or I guess the next day, Paige has a really good prelims. What were you guys thinking heading into that race? Especially, I think she, at least from my perspective, from a media perspective, we were like, Paige has a better chance to make it in that 200 free, right? The 400 free might be a little bit more of a crapshoot. What were you guys thinking heading into that final?
Well, there was debate amongst Paige and our staff of whether she was even going to swim the 400, because the focus had been entirely on the 200. There was zero focus on the 400. Coach Blair Bachman coaches her directly. And, I think our coaching staff and Blair and some others that have been involved in her development over this year thought she had a really good chance in the 400, but I don't think Paige did. And so, there was a debate, a few days before the 400. Paige was like, we were joking about it, and she was like, yeah, I debated even swimming it, because the 200 was the next day. The prelims of the 200 is the next day. So, questioning of whether she should swim it and if it would take anything out of her for the 200, which was going to be her prime opportunity to make the team. So, there was question of whether she was going to swim it. And then there was also debate of, okay, swim it in prelims and then we'll scratch finals if you make it. And I think that the thought was, okay, she'll probably make finals, but is she going to be close enough to a top 2 finish to really make swimming finals worth it? But we also knew, her best time was from 2 years ago. So, she's improved a lot in 2 years. So we knew that there was a pretty significant drop ready. She was due for that. And so, once she had that prelim swim, we were like, okay, well, I think that just got her really excited to swim it again that night, and set her up. And I think probably the nonchalant attitude about the race probably really helped. There was zero pressure, and even at the nighttime swim, if she didn't make the team, the expectation wasn't that she was going to make the team. She was just swimming it to get into the meet. And so I think that not having that pressure probably really helped her in the end.
And I mean, especially for such a long and tactical race like that, I would assume, having fewer nerves probably helps more. Could you see the difference in her nerve levels from the 400 to the 200? Or do you think by the time the 200 rolled around, since she had already qualified for the team, she was a little looser than she would have been?
Oh, 100%. I think that, I think after the 400, she was just beaming with confidence. And she knew her 200 was going to be good. And, at that point, I don't think there was any stopping her. So I think that, we never could have imagined that the 400, 200 would have worked out the way it did, but it worked out the best possible way it could have for her, because it helped build her confidence, and she rolled right through the 200s, at that point. And, she just could swim a lot more relaxed. There wasn't as much pressure. She still really wanted to make the 200. That's always been the focus. So she was really excited about it, but I think there was a lot more excitement than there was anxiety or stress, going into it after the 400.
Was it surprising to you, after you've been at UVA for 3 years now?
4.
4 years, and you already have, and after that second night, it's like, whoa, we've got an Olympian.
Well, that was the hope coming in. We knew we had, 4 or 5 really good opportunities, but none of them were seeded to make the team, right? I mean, Emma was, and she obviously wasn't training with us this year, but the other 4 weren't necessarily seeded to make the team. So it was, they could make it or they could not. And they could have gone in there and had a really, really good meet, still not made the team. So, but yeah, I mean, it was, I think even from our coaching staff, our stress levels probably went down a little bit after Paige made it, because we're like, okay, we got one, like that's, any coach would kill to have one. Right. And I would. And so we were excited and happy and still anxious for our swimmers, because, at the end of the day, you really, as a coach, at least for me and our staff, we want the best for our student athletes. We want them to be really successful, because they work really hard and they're really good people. And, you hope that good things will happen to good people who work really hard. And so that's, so anytime we go to a meet where we're trying to peak, you want them to swim well and compete well, because they've earned it. They put the work in, they deserve it. Sometimes it obviously doesn't come together and they don't swim as, to their potential, but you always hope they do. And you wish for it. And you want that for them, because they've done the work and they deserve it. So for Paige to have done that is really just, it's a culmination of 4 years of motivation, discipline, focus, and hard work. And she works insanely hard. I mean, she works hard in everything.
I don't find that hard to believe. But this is maybe the hardest meet to be successful at, or to be your best at. So I'm a little curious, before we kind of move into that rest of the meet and some of the other UVA swimmers, how do you prepare them more mentally and emotionally for a meet like this? It's like every swimmer's been, obviously your swimmer's been to a lot of taper meets, gone through this process before, but especially for those who haven't been to a trials meet before, is there anything extra or specific you're doing to say, hey, this meet's different?
We try not to, really, more than trying to, because, we really, as a coaching staff, we know that it's different, and we know there's a lot more pressure, and you're by yourself. Whereas every other meet we go to, we're there as a team, and you have that support. And granted, our team's there and you have that support, but it's just different. And so we just did our best to just take the pressure off. We didn't really talk about it all that much. We talked to individuals about what we think they're capable of doing, and also talk to people about the emotions of this meet, that it's really up and down, and you got to manage that. Specifically Kate Douglas, because she was going to be swimming a lot, and she had 4 really good opportunities to make the team, and they may or may not work out, and you got to manage your emotions as you go through the competition, so that if you don't make it in this event, well, you got to put it behind you and get ready for that next one, because you got just as good of a shot. But we tried for the most part to just not talk that much about it. And honestly, that's what we do for most of our big competitions. I mean, we talk about winning NCAAs and our conference championship meets and things like that, but we don't dwell on it. We tend to just tell the team what we think they're capable of, tell the individuals what we think they're capable of, and then just say, let's just focus on today. And we'll worry about the meet when we get to the meet. They obviously, I'm sure, felt pressure and were stressed and anxious, as probably everybody at that. I don't know that there's anybody at that competition who probably wasn't. But we try to dilute it as much as we can.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think, yeah, that makes sense. Dude, I was stressed at that meet, and I'm not even, I have no involvement. I'm just covering it. It's a lot. So Kate Douglas, let's transition to her. You said she had 4 really good shots. So 100 fly, 2 IM, 100 free, 50 free.
Right.
That was her event schedule. Was there an event that you thought she had the best shot in making it in?
Honestly, I really thought the 2 IM was going to be her best shot. And I told her that. It's actually really ironic that she made it in that event, because in late April, she was not even going to swim the 200 IM. She just was not excited about it. And I've always taken the approach, like, swim what you want to swim. Like at NCAAs, we talked about NCAAs, right? Like, how do we choose our events? Hey, swim what you want to swim and what makes you excited, because that's what you're going to be best at. She was not excited about the 200 IM, and she may be mad at me for saying this, but we got 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks out of the Indy Pro meet in May. She in practices was just like, I'm done with the IM. And I even told her, I'm like, yeah, you're done with the IM. We're going to focus on the freestyle and the fly and move forward. And then she was like, well, but maybe and I kept telling her 2 IM is your best shot. And so anyway, she decided, she was like, she swam it at the May meet in Indy. And she was like, I'll swim it there and just see how it goes. But she didn't want to swim it. Anyway, she swam well. And I think that built her confidence a little bit. And I don't know that she was excited about that race, but she likes the short races. So anyway, it's funny to us that's the event she made it in, because literally 6 or 8 weeks ago, she was like, I'm done with the long course IM. Don't want to do it anymore.
So I mean, that is funny, especially because coming out of high school, I think we kind of always saw her as a sprinter, someone who preferred those shorter races. At UVA, we've seen her have a lot of success in 200s, but short course is obviously very different. So can you tell me a little bit about the training that she was doing? And I mean, because a long course 200, even if it's IM where you're kind of just sprinting 450s, it's a pretty different beast. And I know her and Alex talked a lot about doing IM group together this spring. But how do you prepare someone like Kate, who prefers the shorter races, but obviously is extremely versatile, for that long course 200?
Yeah, it's challenging, mainly because, it's not like we were trying to prepare her for just one race, just the IM. So trying to prepare her for the 50 free, but also get her ready for a 200 IM, where you've got to have some of that, you've got to have some of that endurance work. So her training was just all over the place. I mean, every practice she basically would do, we had 8 practices a week, and she would do one specific discipline every single practice. So she's doing, a 50 freestyle specific workout. She's doing a 100 freestyle specific workout. She would do a fly speed, a back speed, a breaststroke speed workout. She would do one aerobic free workout, one IM workout, and then one extra butterfly workout because she was going to swim the 100 fly. So it's like every practice, she just do a different stroke every practice, which I think is, as an athlete, is probably fun, because you're always switching it up and you're always doing something different. But it was, it's a challenge. I don't think it's necessarily a challenge if you're only prepping for the 200 IM, but when you need to turn around and be ready for 100 fly and be ready for a 50 free and 100 free, then, it becomes a little bit more challenging. But, we just try to hit every stroke, every day. We would just focus on one stroke per practice. So if she was doing breaststroke, that's basically all we did for that whole practice. And then we'd come back and do backstroke. And she just did one IM practice, like one IM specific practice per week.
Gotcha. Wow. That I agree. As an athlete, that does sound a lot more fun, or at least enjoyable, just to switch things up, keep it fresh, keep it light. So does she work with pretty much every coach then? Or
I mean, all of our athletes do. We have primary practice groups, and every athlete is assigned to a primary coach. But what that means really is that coach just really manages and directs that athlete's program. And so the particular athlete might be with that coach for the majority of the workouts, but likely ventures out and does a lot of other things. So especially during the college season, very few people only swim for one coach the entire time. And there may be like the extremes, like the pure sprinter who never leaves the sprint group, or the pure distance swimmer who never leaves the distance group. But for the most part, there's a lot of rotating, and every coach gets to work with every athlete. So, I think that makes it fun for the athletes. I think it makes it fun for the coaches. But so, as it got closer to trials, we had less and less people training, obviously, because, the group got a little bit funneled to those 15. So for the most part, athletes were with their specific primary coach leading in probably those last 3 to 4 weeks. So Kate was with, for the majority of her workout, she was with me. But, leading into that last 3 to 4 weeks and throughout the year, there's a lot of transitioning of athletes back and forth. She would do a lot of breaststroke stuff with Coach Wes Fultz over the course of the year. She did a lot of IM stuff with Tyler Fenwick, kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Which again, sounds fun to me. Seems like you get a good blend of athletes to train with and of workouts and coaches. So then conversely, Alex Walsh, I'm guessing the 200 IM was probably a big focus for her. Maybe the primary focus.
Oh yeah. 100%. Her mindset around the IM was, if I make the IM, I'm not doing anything else. and it was also, if I don't make the IM, I got to find another event and try to make it in. But it was by far, her best shot. I think for her, if she didn't make it in that, it would have been a challenge to make it in, even more of a challenge to make it in anything else. She's obviously super versatile and can swim a lot of events, and probably could have made the final or at least semifinal in 15 different events. But, the main focus for her was certainly the IM, and, pretty much put everything into that.
And how did that manifest into her training just on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So her and Kate trained a lot together, but they probably did about 50 to 75% of the same workouts. But Alex is a sprinter at heart, but needs a little bit more, aerobic threshold type work that benefits her. So Kate tends to go towards the shorter end, a lot more speed work and a little less of the aerobic threshold stuff. And Alex just does a little bit more. So they train pretty similarly, except for Alex will throw in probably 3, out of 8 practices a week, 3 of hers are big aerobic workouts, whereas only 1 of Kate's is. So Alex would do some good old John Urbanchek colors, red set type stuff. Coach Blair Bachman, she would go with Paige and she would do 2 kind of big aerobic workouts like that with Blair's workouts. And then she would also do like a 400 IM workout with Blair as well. Ella Nelson, would be training with that. So she'd be with her. And then her other 5 workouts would be really, really speed, sprint based. So she would do she would be with Kate with the fly, the back, the breast speed workouts, a freestyle speed workout. And then she would do the short IM speed workout that Kate would do as well. So her training was similar, but, with a little mix, just because she, her and Kate swim the same events, but they need different things.
Yeah. So can you take me through that 200 IM final? That was again, another one of those races, the closest race for first through third in Olympic trials history.
Yeah, it was wild. I'm still in shock. I've watched that race 15 times. And the last time I watched it, I teared up. I'll go back 2 days before that final though. And Kate swam the 100 fly final and gets third by a 10th. And so again, trying to manage those emotions. I told Kate right after that race, I was like, first of all, you went a lifetime best by a full second, over the course of this meet. So, you're swimming fast, you're ready to go. It stinks to have gotten third. That's the worst spot to be in at Olympic trials. Right. Yeah. But you swam really well. And I told her, I also thought the 100 fly was her longest shot to make the team. Just based on where she started the meet, right? She was a full second behind the top seeds coming into the meet. So, you figure, a full second to drop when you're already improved that much is a lot. She was really happy with the swim, but also but so then, going into that next, 2 days later, the 200 IM final, it's like, all right, I don't know if it's on her mind or not. We didn't talk about it anymore, but, the 200 IM final was just wild because Alex just went out. She sent it. I'm not sure that's quite what you want to do in a 200. Alex, her first 100 was a full second better than she'd ever been. her at the 150, she was like a second and a half faster than she was at the semifinal. And I was like, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be either really good or really bad. And even, and as it relates to, and it's hard for us as coaches, you're watching two different people and they're in two different places in the race, like entirely different places, swim it entirely different. And so like, she was so far ahead with like 25 meters left. I kind of stopped watching her because I'm like, she's good. She's got it. She's good. And kind of turned the attention to like, all right, Kate, come on, Kate. Because Kate was probably in third or fourth with 25 left. And I know, and we all know Kate closes really well. She closed really well in the fly. She's closed really well in the IM in the past. So we're like, all right, if Kate's within a body length going into the last 50, I'm not going to say she's going to make it, but she'll have a shot. But I'll be honest, with 10 meters left, I was like, she's not going to do it, because she was still, I don't know how far behind, but it was at least where we were standing, it was an amount where I was like, okay, I don't like it'd be a miracle. And then obviously with like 5 meters left, I'm like, oh God, get to the wall, Alex. And then you're like, get to the wall, Kate, get to the wall, everybody, it was just wild. And then obviously, they hit the wall and 1 and 2 come up for those two girls. And we just went crazy. It was probably the most stressful and exciting, gut wrenching and proud race I've ever been fortunate to be a part of. It was just, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And we were fortunate to be on the positive side of that. I feel terrible for Madison, because I know she works equally as hard and, probably earned it just as much. At that point, I think, I don't necessarily believe all that much in luck, but at that point, it's probably luck was on our side. And I know how, I know what getting third is like, because Kate had just done it 2 nights ago, and a lot of people did over the course of the meet. And it's just not that's the one spot that's just not, it's not a fun spot to be in. And so, my heart goes out to her as well. And so at that point, it's hard to be really, really happy and proud, but also know that, there's other people out there whose hopes and dreams have been, some level kind of, taken over. But so, I've got to hand it to her and applaud her too. But, it was crazy. Our girls wouldn't have done what they did if it weren't for her. So, they all pushed each other. And I can tell you that I would imagine all 3 of those women put everything they possibly could into that race. Not one of them could have taken another stroke. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it really well. There's always 2 people who are going to be really excited in a final like that, and 6 people who aren't.
Yeah.
I think that's why that meet is so tough. But I want to get your opinion on something. So, you mentioned Kate is a really good closer. And I think in swimming, the assumption is always, well, if you train for distance, then you're going to be a good closer. Right. And if you're a sprinter, you're not. And, as a coach, as someone who works with primarily sprinters and shorter distances, it's like you said, Kate is a really good closer. How do you see that play out, especially in a race like that, where Alex, who trains a lot more aerobic, goes out really hard, obviously kind of dies at the end there. And then Kate has a much more controlled race. And obviously some of that is just about race strategy, but right. How does Kate manage to close so good if she's primarily training sprints a lot? Yeah.
Well, I think that, that's from a training perspective, that's the approach that we take. And I've always taken with the sprinters is, we even know, like, I think sprint, it gets kind of a bad name. And Caleb Dressel is a great example. That's right. He's a sprinter, but we know he can do great 200s. He can do a great all 200s. And he's done it. For me and the approach that we take from a training perspective, we train that top end speed. And we put more of an emphasis on developing speed and power and strength. We put more of an emphasis on that than anything. We do enough aerobic training, enough endurance training so that they can finish their races strong. But I think that the reason they can finish strong, because a lot of our sprinters can do great 200s, long course or short course, is because they have that really great front end speed. So Kate can go out, she's a great butterflyer too, so that helps. But she can go out her first 50 and 27 low, and it's easy. It's easy. Whereas, there's some other people who are going out in 27 high, and they're pressing hard to go do that. So, our goal in 200s for our quote unquote sprinters is to use your easy speed. We don't want them pressing or working hard that front 50. Use your easy speed. You're going to get to the 50 wall easy, no problem, and it's going to be fast. So, so she's going to have something left. Going to have something left at the end of the race because she didn't expend it all in that front 50 or that front 100. And so, and that's, I've coached some great sprint guys who have had great 200 freestyles, short course, and never once trained for a 200 free. It's just because I say this a lot, right? I can refer back to those guys at the 200 free, right? If you're a 41 in short course, if you're a 4100 freestyler, you can go out in 43 in a 200 free, no problem, right? And it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you, and you'll be able to close. Whereas if you're a 4300 freestyler and you go out in 43, you may not finish the race. So, that's kind of the approach that we take. We're going to get them as fast as we can in the shorter races. And that front end speed will allow you to go out, fast without using a lot of energy. And so that, I think that's why, she can close well at the end of those races, because she hasn't used everything in that front, the front part of the race.
Makes total sense. I'm glad we got your perspective on that. And then speaking of sprinters, obviously, last I'd like to hit on Katie DeLoof, who just arrived in Charlottesville a year ago. Is that right?
About a year ago. She was probably last May, June is, once we finally got access to a pool. Actually, it might have been a little bit later than that. It might've been August. But yeah, she's been with us about a year.
Okay. And I mean, can you just talk about the addition of that post-grad and what she's brought to the team and how you've seen her progress over the last 9 months?
Yeah, she's just a great person. She's great to be around. She's just fun and keeps things light and isn't too serious about swimming, which is a good thing. And I think her biggest development over the last year has just been strength. She's probably, I don't know, because we're not like weighing people in or anything like that, but I would imagine she's put close to 10 pounds of muscle on in the last year. And I think it's been huge for her. Just cause she just needed to get faster. She has a beautiful stroke. She can do a great 200 free. Long course, she can do a great 200 free. So she's got the endurance, no problem, for 100 free. Our goal was just to get her faster. So we focus on the 50 a lot with her and her power and strength. So if we can get her 50 faster, then her 100 is automatically going to be faster. So, but having her around, has been great, because she's just a good person. She's quiet, but she adds a ton of value when she's around. She's great.
Yeah. And so again, 4 who's on the Olympic team, a 5th if you count Emma, which you guys can claim her. And then and like you said, they put you on that Olympic team. So what are you looking forward to? You leave for Hawaii on Sunday for Olympic training camp, and then on to Tokyo. I mean, what does this mean to you to be an Olympic coach for your first time in the US?
Well, I mean, it's a dream come true. It's my biggest and ultimate goal as a professional. So, I've said this often to a lot of people when I'm asked, but I have goals as well for me and for my professional career, and just like kids have goals that they want to accomplish in the pool with their races. My goals have been, and one of the reasons why I was excited to come to Virginia 4 years ago was my goals were to, be able to be a part of a team that could potentially contend for national championships, which then also means you probably have athletes that you can work with that might win national titles, relays that can, contend for national titles. That's a big goal, professional goal of mine. And then more, bigger priority is to be able to work with athletes that have the potential to make Olympic teams, national teams, world championship teams. And then like my biggest dream is, I told Greg Meehan this at NCAA's, actually. I was like, you know, and it's no secret, like my biggest dream and goal is to be on the U.S. Olympic team coaching staff. Like, yeah, obviously I think that's the ultimate goal, you know, the ultimate level for a coach, you know, is to do that, because that means you don't get put on that staff for nothing. Your athletes have to have accomplished at a really high level. So, you know, so it means a lot to me. You know, I'm really proud. I'm humbled. You know, I'm also a little bit like, the girls did it. Like, you know, like at some point, at some level, I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm not sure if I belong there. Because I'm, you know, what I'm excited about is to be around coaches who, you know, I think I'm the rookie. I might be one of few coaches on staff who've never been on a staff like this before. But Greg and Dave and Terry and Bob Bowman and Greg Troy, you know, it's Jack Bowerly. I love those, you know, I love all of them. I love hanging around them. So I'm excited just to be around them and learn. My goal is to soak in as much knowledge and learn as much as I can. And same thing with the athletes. You know, I was fortunate in 16 to be, I was able to go to the first training camp with the team, because they let personal coaches go. So I was in San Antonio for like 10 days with Ryan Held. And at that point, I was just like, I'm going to soak up as much knowledge and information as I can, being around the athletes, you know, you got 50 some odd athletes, the best athletes in the world. You can learn a lot from them. You know, back then, Caleb Dressel and Ryan Held were training a lot together. And I just remember Caleb teaching Ryan this new breakout. And I learned it because of that. And now I teach that. Like, all of our swimmers do this breakout that Caleb taught us, you know, 5 years ago. You know, and so I'm hoping to maybe learn something new, you know, while I'm out there. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm there to help. You know, my job, the way I view assistant coaches is to make the head coach's job and life easier. So I told Greg, I'm like, whatever you need me to do to make your life easier, let me know. Because I'm sure he's slammed, you know, and stressed. So I'm happy to help him. But, you know, I'm just excited to be there and be around him and be around, you know, our girls who made the team and, you know, just be along for the ride with them. I'm excited to watch them enjoy this, you know, and to really, they get to now really reap the rewards of their, you know, their hard work and the benefits of all their hard work. And I'm excited to just watch them have fun and enjoy it and be around the rest of the team. It I imagine will be a lot of fun.
I think that's a great point to stop, Todd. I know you've had a busy week, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat. Any parting thoughts before we sign out on going to Tokyo?
Oh man, go USA! I keep saying I'm not Team UVA anymore. At this point, for the rest of the summer, we're Team USA. So I'm excited and looking forward to be a part of this, you know, big conglomerate. It's going to be exciting.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.